Today, it's a throwdown. It's a showdown. Hell no. Actually, I'm not going any further.
Is that the rest of it?
All right. I'm just here to rap. Yeah, so we are talking about the much debated topic of Hemi versus LS. Which engine reigns supreme when it comes to an engine swap? That's today on the Light Bars and Lockers podcast. All right, what's up, Wheelers? You're listening to the Light Bars and Lockers podcast, the show where we answer your Jeep questions, talk about badass builds, and discuss ways to beef up your ride. I'm Paul from JeepBeef, and we've got Tim Rogers joining us shortly from TMR Customs, and of course, we have Ryan from Combat Off-Road. What's going on, buddy?
Oh, you know,
going for the hero shot. I love it.
Whole new chair for me. I never sit here to do. Well, I've sat here to do this before, but it's not that often. Right. Yeah, just a weird mix of stayed late doing some stuff last night. And I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot my computer on the couch in my office, and then I didn't have enough time to get to. It was so weird. I have to go to store 1 and then go to the better land of the internet at store 2, and then by the time I got all the stuff I had to do, there's no way. So I stole this other laptop, and me and the horse are gonna join.
Nice, you and the horse. I love it. I love it. And hey, I'm gonna have to apologize ahead of time. I of all days, they're now doing some construction work on my office here, so you're gonna hear lots of things happening. So that's that's always fun. Dex from Adventure Dex says good morning, JeepWave. Hey, what's up, Dex?
Hey, dude.
Thanks for jumping on the feed. All right. Yeah. So while we wait for Tim, we'll jump in just a sec. But yeah, tell us about. So for those of you new to the podcast, again, I'm Paul. This is Ryan. Ryan's from Combat Off-Road. And Ryan, what have you got going on at Combat? What's been happening over there over the last little while?
We are working on our. It's fun when you do one product. It kind of for us it goes into 3 different models. So we got the JK, the JT, and the JL. So we're doing fenders, some aluminum fenders right now. We're just hashing those out. We're actually got to 3D model scan the Gladiator tomorrow. So we're going to stick that on a trailer tonight and go super early down to the Metropolis, to the scanning facility and stick it in. They're going to scan it and then, reverse engineer a nice step file for us so we can use to create the rear fenders the way we want them. So we have the JKs and the JLs pretty much done. And so just a lot of like steps. We're doing a lot of tactile stuff. That way we're talking about a little secret thing between me and you, right? So we're trying to get that sorted. Just a lot of fun stuff in the works and a couple of extra projects going, and hopefully we can get to some shows. I know all my friends are at Deep Beach right now, hanging. And
right, yes, Deep Beach looks awesome every year, right? It looks awesome. So upset we couldn't make it this year, but same thing. We got some friends there. Yeah. Looks like a good time.
Yeah, I'm sad, but that's okay. But yeah, we're just pushing along. So hopefully everything will go as planned, which never does, but it's just keep stepping forward.
Yeah, right on. I hear you. Well, same thing, right? Just trying to navigate this COVID awesomeness. But yeah, same thing, just pushing forward. We got the spring line coming out soon. We've got some new products that are going up on the new website in the next, let's say, week or so. So yeah, like you say, just pushing that ball forward, just grinding, doing the thing. So yeah, and hey, anyone here, first time, please give us a like, leave a comment. If you have a question, post it up. We'll do our best to help. If you have any topic ideas, also feel free to throw that up in the comments. We're always on the lookout for great topics and some ideas. So yeah, you can also get us at podcast@jeepbeef.com. And yeah, that's about it. So let's sort of jump into it. I know Tim's supposed to be
for those collabs we're gonna set up too.
Yes, yeah.
And then we can do some on-site stuff. Hopefully, like I know that like the craziest thing, like Gatineau, they got a spot check to see if you can go in and out between the 2 provinces. Can you believe that?
Oh, it's getting out of hand. It's like I don't even want to go there because We can do a whole entire topic.
Yeah, we don't want to ruin everyone's day.
Yeah, exactly.
I just can't believe it. So once that goes, but
yeah.
well,
Hey, Angel from Seven Slot Society, what's up, buddy?
Sweet.
First time watching it live. To be honest, it's probably most people's first time watching it live. We typically go live to our Facebook group, which is a private group. So
I thought we show my horse either.
That's right. All the horsepower in the world going on back there.
It's a big master. Look at that guy. See,
yeah.
It looks like he farted and he's turning around and go, hey, is that me?
Yeah. Like my dog, right? Yeah. All right. So so the topic today, Hemi versus LS. If anyone has any thoughts on this or questions or what have you, just post it up in the comments below and then we'll go through it.
And if anyone has one, let's hear your feedback on it if you already own one.
Yeah, if you own one, definitely. Especially, I hear more often than not people talk about the LS. I don't hear a ton of people talk about the Hemi. I don't know if it's just because the LS is more popular or if, whatever, it may just be my circle of friends or what have you. But I definitely hear a lot more about. I mean, you have an LS, Tim has an LS, right?
Well, the window of the bag, man. I think I'm gonna go pro Hemi.
Yeah,
my final decision. Yeah,
like as in the that's off the factory.
Dude, I would pick, like I had to pick right now. I would pick the Hemi.
Yeah, I know, right?
I pick the Demon, dude. The Demon or the Hellcat. Right? I love power adders. So, yeah, you can supercharge an LS. We've done it a bunch of times, especially with cars. Yeah, I know it's pricey.
Yes, right. That's the thing, and that's something to consider. One of the things that we'll cover in a few minutes is the price difference between the two and things to consider. And speaking of that, what up? There's Tim.
You gotta stop eating Mexican, dude.
I was turbo speed.
Right. Awesome. Okay. Well, Tim joining us from TMR. I think he was just, that whole work thing gets in the way every now and then of the fun stuff, right? So, Tim, what's going on at TMR? I imagine lots.
Yeah, lots on the go. We just had a new employee start in our warehouse and shipping department this morning, so I kind of give the guys a quick orientation before I hand them off.
This tape.
Right.
Yeah. No, not even like front door, bathroom, lunchroom, first aid. Hopefully, you never cut your hand off.
Eat here, poo here.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes, the basics.
Bleed here. Do not bleed here.
Don't bleed.
Don't bleed anywhere, dude.
No, don't bleed till you're punched out and gone for the day.
Yeah, bleed.
Right.
Bleed on your way home, please.
Bleed off the clock. That's always
bleed off. There you go. That's right. That's the motto. Just put that up under like your first aid. Right above it, bleed off the clock.
Yeah,
I love it.
Core value.
That's right.
It is.
All right, cool. All right, well let's jump into it. Let's talk about Hemi versus LS. And the first question I want to know, Tim, seeing as you're here, I'm going to put you right on the spot immediately. Let's talk about what swaps have you personally done? Have you done both Hemi and LS? Just LS?
Just LS. I'm biased. I had used them previously in our race trucks and buggy and off-road applications. So when it came time to do a Jeep, I was pretty familiar with them as a platform. So that's something I wanted to stick with. So I'm biased, but no, I know a bit about the Hemi swaps and done some homework. But I'm definitely LS only in terms of experience.
All right, cool. And Ryan, how about you?
We've done a bunch of LS, mostly in TJs, not so many JKs. I have a JK with an LS. We didn't finish it yet. Just hanging in the compound, but I'm gonna say realistically, like for me, like I'd do be pro Hemi just because the already ready to go out of the box power adders, right? Like we were talking before, but I just think of if I was gonna do like the JL or something, I would do like a Demon or a Hellcat JL. A buddy of mine there, Steve Vance down at JK Land down in Georgia, he's got a Gladiator with a Hellcat in it. It's just hilarious.
Yes. Yeah. It's sick. I know that one. Yeah.
I laugh every time I see it on Facebook or anything.
Yeah. I see it on Instagram all the time.
Hilarious. But like we were saying, you can supercharge the LS platform, and they're great motors. I mean, I do like the idea of like keeping the same brand in the same brand. You know what I mean? Like if we could stay all Mopars, kind of cool. Kind of was fun. I'm a little particular. I bought 2 Mopars this week too, so I'm kind of like feeling the Mopar. Like I bought a Viper this week, and I bought a a 72 Scamp with the 340 in it, all like race car, like track car, like.
Nice.
So it's pretty. I don't know. I fired up that Scamp and it just sits there shaking the piss out of you. I was like, oh, this is a really cool Mopar, you know. So,
Nice.
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's
feel
maybe
the Mopar right now. Feeling the Mopar.
All right, awesome. I love it. Okay, well, why don't we step back a little bit, Tim? Why would I even want to do a engine swap in the first place? Is it? Yeah, go ahead.
Power for the most part. I mean, you're trying to spin a bigger tire. I mean, if we're talking 37-inch and larger, the Jeep motors are really underpowered, especially for what the Jeep's weigh. If you 1-ton swap a Jeep, put it on 40s or larger, they're a pig, like flat out. So yeah,
like 3.8 though, right? It's even worse.
Yeah, and exactly the 3.8's even worse.
Okay.
The 8-speed transmission in the JL and JT even makes a big difference. But yeah, if we're talking about an earlier JK, and you want to rock the big tires, yeah, definitely you can't. There's V8 power. It's much better. It makes the Jeep more drivable. That's just reality. So it's not for everyone because it's a big pill to swallow in terms of cost or skill set if you're going to DIY it. But yeah, it improves the drivability of your Jeep and just makes it more fun, like flat out.
Yeah, for sure. It makes it more
V8,
fun,
right? The V8 noise is just, it's the only way. Like,
right.
Like even just yesterday, like we were working last night and I had both those other cars in the shop and I fired up the Scamp and it's just crazy, right? It's just like, right? It's like, oh, this is so cool, right? And then I took Nate over to the Viper, fired up the Viper, and it's just like, you know, like you're like, oh, it just doesn't have that like V8 sound.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's still cool. It's just not,
Yeah.
not my type of cool 100%. Like the car is super cool, but it just doesn't have that feel, right? Where the V8, you just have that nostalgic classic V8, right? And then especially when you open it up, right? So
yeah, I had some guys. It's funny because they were, like I say, there's construction everywhere around here, and so they're out checking out the Jeep, and they thought it was hilarious because I have the turbo, the 4-cylinder turbo. They're like, you figure when you turn it on, you're gonna hear like this vroom sound, but no, you hear like the whine of the like supercharger. Like, just sounds like, you know. So I totally get what you're saying with the sound of the V8. It's
just a blow-off valve and just revving, just like.
Oh, I am 100% getting a blow-off valve. I like no question, 100%. I am getting.
We'll have to read if that motor likes to blow-off valve or not.
Yeah, right. I haven't really done any research.
I know, like we were doing some Subaru stuff, like on and off, like just, and the blow-off valve is not really conducive to the Subaru style setups. So some cars like blow-off valves, some cars don't. Some like some motors. So that'd be something to look into. And then the whole wrench in the whole show, like I'm really wondering about like we do a lot of RIP superchargers at work. I've only driven them to test. I haven't like long term, but like you wouldn't get the sound. But I'm like, oh, dude, should I just do a supercharger? Like I was just thinking, even personally, like I have the JL on 42s, and I got to change those axles at some point. But I mean, do I rip out that brand new motor and throw it away, or do I like and spend like weeks and weeks putting this swap in, or do I just spend the day and toss on that little hamburger? You know what I mean? Like,
I think you wait for the factory V8 to
that too, right?
The dealers, man. I think that's a no-brainer if you can spring for it.
Well, I always end up springing for it.
Yeah. Right.
I don't know. Sometimes the spring's stronger and weaker. Depends what's going on.
Yes.
All right, cool. Okay, so then going back to the LS versus Hemi, Tim, thoughts on fuel economy? Which is
so if we're talking truck motor, so like a truck pullout, GM or versus like a Hemi pullout from a truck motor, the GM LS is going to have better fuel economy. I mean, if you look at any of the GM 2500 series trucks with the gas motors, they pull better fuel mileage numbers than the Hemis do. I mean, some people will laugh at it and say that's kind of stupid when you're talking V8. But I mean, if we are talking like drivability and some people want to improve that, and yeah, obviously some people take that into account. If it's say they're daily or say they drive it longer distances, that might play into being a factor as opposed to if it's just a fun toy for around town.
Got it. Okay, fair enough.
Hey, what block did you use in that JK or the JK? Yeah,
6.2 LS3 crate. Yeah.
Oh, you want a crate? Yeah, right. I remember seeing the pictures now.
Yeah, but yeah, most common for people doing swaps if they're getting DIY is
Right.
6 liter, 6.2.
That's the one we use.
But yeah,
the standalone PCM and everything. Yeah. That's cool.
Okay, right on. Hey, and for those of you tuning in, if you want to take a look, I actually posted a picture of the TMR LS swap Jeep yesterday on our Instagram. Actually, it's on our Facebook page. Just scroll down. But that's the Jeep that we're talking about that has the LS3 in it. Cool. All right. So Ryan, what about like weight? You know, so if we're considering if weight's an option, because I mean these things add up, right? You know, the weight of everything, bumpers and shit like that. Compare the two there. Is there a drastic difference?
Well, it depends on what gen motors you get. And then I know that the Yukon Denali had an all aluminum. It was a 6 liter all aluminum, I believe.
Yep.
So there's that. So if you really were thinking about weight, I would just run the all aluminum. But I mean, you are kind of splitting hairs. You know what I mean? You could go on like, maybe you just want to go on like a keto diet and buy the motor you want. I don't know. You know what I mean? See some celery or don't bring anybody that's a little snuggy. I'm not really sure. There's ways to save weight. I think I would pick the power plant. Like personally, I would pick the power plant that made the most power because that's just kind of my DNA. So whatever the most jam, and then based on my budget, like if I spend 10K on a motor and I can spend 11K and get one with another 150 or 180 or 200 horsepower, I'm doing that all day. Power to weight's obviously a math question, but if it weighs 46 more pounds and makes 200 more horse, like who cares? You know what I mean? Like
no, that makes sense.
Spare tire, like leave it back at camp or something. You know what I mean? Like whatever, man. I just get more power, and then I would pick just longevity. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like the late model, like Hemis or Mint. You know what I mean? Especially the ones with the power adders. And now everybody's offering, like you don't have to junkyard it if you don't want to. Not to say there's anything wrong with that. There definitely isn't. You can get really great motors in the junkyard. Somebody got T-boned or hit from behind. The thing's brand new.
For sure.
But so many cool packages out there, right? So many things that come with everything ready to go. Like the one Tim did, it's pretty much ready to go. Like lots of work, but you don't have to go like pinning a harness or doing anything crazy. You know what I mean? So lots of really cool things in the aftermarket. But yeah, definitely a $25,000 to $35,000 option. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense.
And hey, Tim, how long do you spend? Like we spend forever doing them. Like they seem like they just take. Well, I guess the whole build. Like we build most of the trucks came up.
Yeah,
it's kind of similar to you. You build the whole vehicle, but the swap itself, I remember it was a reasonable amount of time to get it rolling. And we did a lot of stuff before everything, like the TJ and stuff, and we had to use decode digital gauges. I'd build a pod to match the TJ. I had to do a whole bunch of stuff like that to make it work. But
okay, cool. Yeah. All right. So then, what about transmission and transfer case? Tim, do either of them? Do we keep like the stock, or do we have to rip the whole thing out?
So because of the power you're going to be feeding it, presumably with a V8, I would plan on replacing all of it. The 241 transfer cases are decent. I think GM has better options for transmissions. I'm not a ton familiar with the Dodge autos you could do behind a Hemi swap, but I know like in mine I did a 6-speed, so a 6L80. That's a heavy duty transmission out of a 2500 series GM truck. And now they've got 8 speeds and 10 speeds that are commonly being used with LS swaps in newer Jeeps. So, and transfer case wise, if you're going to feed it 500 horsepower north of that, I don't know if the Jeep one's up to snuff. Depends how hard you are.
Or two.
Yeah, exactly. So I did an Atlas at the same time. I think that's common. I think it's one of those in for a penny, in for a pound.
Right.
You could.
Yeah, that's a good.
Yeah, I think you're right. Depending on what kind of horsepower and stuff and what setup you want to run, you know what I mean. I think I know that the Hemi ones, it's easier to keep the manual tranny.
Yep.
With the Hemi versus the GM, right? And there's no really good manual tranny selection through the GM's four-wheel drive to work well. I know that was a thing, and I know that we did one. I got a 5.3, and we did like a high cam. We decked the heads and we put valve springs in it, and all kinds of fun stuff. And we put a Phytech Freely system on it, and then we did a Turbo 400, so just a 3-speed non-overdrive. And then we made it to the Rubicon case.
Mm-hmm.
but it hasn't really been proven because we haven't really finished that project. So, and that thing should probably make, I'd say it's probably about 450 horse, maybe. You know what I mean? Probably at the flywheel too. So you're probably only going to get, like, if you're lucky, 300 at the tires. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Not
so
even.
that would probably survive the case there.
Yep.
And you get that V8 sound and all that fun stuff. You know what I mean? But yeah, I think an Atlas is the way to go. Like you said, if you're going to go for this, like, you might as well get, the worst thing you want to do is spend $25,000 and not be happy when you could have spent 30 or 32 and been, you know, just smile ear to ear, right? Like, just, if you're going that far, go, right? Just finish the race. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. What about, well, so with the transmission, speaking of that, which swap opens up like better transmission options?
Automatics, GM, like 100%. You can do like all the modern stuff. 6-speed, 8-speed, 10-speed.
Yeah.
And they're stout, they're strong. Like Ryan says, if you're dead set on manual, you have to go Hemi.
Yeah.
There's no option there. Same with compatibility of the Rubicon transfer case. If you have a Rubicon case and you want to keep that, you're going Hemi.
Right.
Because the Rubicon case won't mate up to a GM transmission. So those are kind of two factors. If you want
a longer, newer one.
Yeah,
the old one, like, you can get it to fit on the 400 and the turbo 350, turbo 400.
Yep.
You just can't, the newer stuff, like you're saying.
Just the modern stuff, yeah.
Right. It depends on what you want or what you find, or it's such a basket of, like, what should I do? You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's the problem with it all.
Okay, so T56 for LS. That's I'm sorry.
So I'm not sure how
from our group.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I'd be curious to know if that mates
how does that
either the stock transfer cases or if that mates to an Atlas. But yeah, I find truthfully, like, the bulk of this market's gone automatic. I mean, people have gotten wise. We've had the auto versus manual debate in the past.
Yes.
I would fucking hate to wheel a manual. You may think you got a bigger ball set if you do it. Good for you. It's fucking terrible. Clutch in, clutch out while you're on a rock face and trying to adjust a line. The shock loading of that on your tire drivetrain is just terrible. So I think for the most part, this is a market for manuals for the bulk of it.
Yeah. I was gonna say I can attest to that. I've driven manual my entire life. Love driving manual. Wheeling manual sucks.
Yeah.
Really?
I do not enjoy it. I don't know. And again, it's just, maybe Ryan, maybe you got giant cajones. I don't know.
My JL is manual on the 40.
Yeah. Obviously, I haven't even driven a manual JL. But the JK was not fun. It was not great. It was.
Well, that's because you don't have a lot of torque, and I can attest to that. Like, there's not a lot of torque in the stock drivetrain.
Yeah.
For the manual, right? But I usually pick a gear and go, right? So if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, right? So if I feel like I can get this at certain RPM, at this kind of momentum, if I need momentum in low range, whatever. So I could try first gear, and if it's just not enough jam, then I just start out in second, hold second. And that's kind of it, for low second, and I can pretty much do what I want with that thing. It's almost like automatic. I don't ever shift gears going through obstacles. Not to say that it's not possible. Right. But I don't know. I just like stuff. I'm feeling real good about liking both stuff. Like, I like LS. I like manual. I like standard. I like the horse behind me. There's lots of cool shit I like.
Yeah. All right. Angel says that everything he's had is manual, but would love to have an automatic for wheeling. Definitely. Agreed. That was, the first time I took my Jeep out, the manual out on the trails, I was like, fuck, I see why people want automatic. Like,
it's definitely easier.
Well, and it's also, I think it's just preference too, right? Thor says wheeling manual is all about the gearing, and it's true. And that was the biggest problem that I have. I know we're completely off topic here, but the biggest problem that I had was was too slow and just wasn't getting it done. Second was like I was going to smash into the guy that was in front of me. I was just going too fast, and it was just, again, and maybe it's just lack of expertise in wheeling in a manual, but with automatic, right? No problem. Like, just no problem.
Yeah, you got to build it to suit that. Kind of like.
And mine was a stock, like, it wasn't anything spectacular.
You probably just were out of ratio, right? You had a big tire. You probably didn't change.
Yes, it's exactly it.
When you had probably like a high range per se transfer case, you know, like out of a Sahara or Sport or something versus like
Yes,
the Rubicon
that's
blower.
exactly it, man. You got it.
So that's all that is. Like, no big deal. It's still fun, but and I don't even know if you're in low range or high range, right? So, you know, that kind of stuff all makes a difference for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, cool. Well, let's go back onto this. Although that's a super interesting topic, I think we could do a whole entire show just on wheeling manual versus automatic. So, going back to the LS versus the Hemi, and I know that, I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know if this is a consideration when you're switching to a Hemi, but I think, you know, it's maybe in the back of your mind. What about emissions? Is like one of them just a pig when it comes to that, and one of them better, or are they both decent? I mean, in modern age, I imagine they're both relatively decent, again, depending on which one you
I know if you're in the West Coast in California, like, you got to do the Hemi to be smog compliant.
No.
No?
There's some of that info out there, but the guy we got a kit from Motec, he's doing like 10 LS swaps a week that are Southern California based.
Really, eh?
Yeah, he's figured out how to make it compliant. The guy's a fucking savant. He's
a mad scientist.
No, honestly, he is. Like, when we went to his shop, it's like 30 JLs, JKs, and whatnot, and they're all getting LS swapped. And it's like, you talk to this guy, it's like someone should put a video cam and record everything this guy says, because when he's gone, that info's gone. It's like,
oh no,
yeah, it was. I remember thinking, I was like, this guy's too smart for his own good and needs to share this information and get it out there. But I know for sure that he can. An LS swap can be made compliant. Not to say there might not be more involved.
But
I don't know, because it wasn't really a concern here. But yeah, for sure, the Hemi might be easier to integrate because it is, like you say, it's Mopar powered. It's potentially one computer as opposed to two. Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool to know, because I know I was kind of like digging for that, because that wasn't really an issue for me. I didn't really have any concerns because we had that hot rod law, like when I was doing them all the time. We wouldn't do them all the time. There's only so many people that do them. I haven't done 30 in my life, never mind 30 in a week. You know what I mean? So I think we've done that. Maybe we've done probably under 10, you know what I mean? Like all together. I think maybe even 6. I can't remember. But that's cool to know for sure.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things you'd probably have to look into your state laws or provincial laws in terms of motor swap and what's allowed. I don't think you could really throw like a blanket statement on it and say one is good for everywhere. Yeah.
No,
so you know what to do? Get a rotten CJ and some rivets and just re-VIN your JL or JK to a CJ. No one's gonna know. It just says Jeep.
Jeep.
There you go.
Worry about it.
There you go.
That is the universe.
This is not legal advice.
No, this is just.
I'm just kidding.
If you felt like it, that could be a potential solution.
Yes.
Okay, and what about like aftermarket support? I mean, and even when it comes to like supporting the upgrades themselves, I mean, both have passionate fans.
Right.
Is one better than the other when it comes to that? Like, so both of you, where do you guys go to get information? Like, if you know you're doing your swap, Tim, I think you did one most recently.
Yeah. So in the in that JKU, I used a kit from Motec. They're based in Las Vegas, Nevada. So I went and visited their shop on our way to on the way to Hammers one year. Trusted that that's good. I like that.
Yeah.
But no, I don't know. I liked what they were doing. It's a full kit. So I mean, if I've got questions, I can phone them, text them, whatever. And questions do pop up for sure. So if you're buying a kit from someone, shop around, make sure you're comfortable with the place you're buying the kit from, because undoubtedly you're going to have questions throughout the build. And if it's something you just want to outright pay for and have done, again, shop around, vet some shops out and see who you're most comfortable with, because inevitably it's going to have to go back for maintenance or other modifications, and you want to go with someone you trust, like any of your modifications. So shop around heavy for sure and go with who you're most comfortable with.
All right, cool. That makes sense. Ryan, I assume it's the same for you all. I mean,
why reinvent the wheel, right? Someone out there that's time tested or has a path. Like, don't just check the ego at the door. Like, you know, I've been building vehicles since I was a kid. I've been doing it professionally for like 17 years. And if I have a question, I have no problem asking. Or if there's a better way out there, that's cool too. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I definitely would do that. And then you can lean on those people. Then you kind of know what you got, right? You start tossing a whole bunch of stuff at it, and you're like, oh, where did I buy that? Oh, is this from a 2001 or is that 2004? Or did I swap this and that? Or, you know, is this AC pump for that? Or, oh man, like, you know, like that's the problem you run into down the road. And then if you decide to buy one of these things secondhand, in a sense, just for make sure you get as much docs as you can, right? I would even weigh that heavily on the purchase. If the guy doesn't have documentation for the vehicle and you're going to spend a reasonable dollar, might run fine, just perfect, and you take it around the block, everything's amazing, right? But like Tim said, things come up, right? And if you don't know where to go, man, you'll be tearing your hair out trying to figure out what the fuck has been built here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that would be one of the most valuable things if you're purchasing one of these things already done. I think it would just be like, make sure this dude has it, or woman, whoever owns it, has it well documented.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, so I've decided I'm making the switch. I'm moving to a V8, regardless of LS or Hemi. What about stock axles? Do I have to switch those out, Tim?
You don't have to. I mean, it's like anything. You can put a 40 on the stock axle if you really want.
42.
Yeah, 42. There you go.
Yeah, Ryan knows. Yeah, I should have started with you, actually.
I did trust it, and I did RTV only because it was a time crunch. And
yes. You know, but yeah, I would say if you want the full freedom, unleashing power of a V8, and you plan on putting the pedal down and enjoying that, I mean, that's part of the fun of that swap. Yeah, in my opinion, you're going to need bigger axles. I had a local shop contact me, and they were going to build a boosted jail for someone, and they were talking like 800 horsepower, and they're like, what do we got to do to beef up these axles? And I'm like, they come out and these go in. And then the customer didn't want to spend that, and that was beyond the reach. And I'm like, realistically, I'm like, that motor's just not for them at this time. I'm like, you can do that, but I'm like Ryan says, if you spend 2/3 or 3/4 of what it takes to do it right, you're going to be let down. I feel bad for I mean, I don't know if the customer shop ever executed that, but yeah, if they put 700 horsepower motor and the guy wanted to fucking rug it, and it's nothing but snap, crackle, pop.
You wouldn't, right?
Exactly. Well, I don't see why you would and then not. So yeah, I mean, I would feel bad for that person. I think at that point they got a fucking piece of shit paperweight. That's not the full package. I would do diffs before I did the motor swap personally. But yeah, I wouldn't. It's one of these things you don't have to, but yeah, I would highly recommend it or bank on it in the very near future.
All right, cool. And Ryan, so Ryan with Combat has a JL that has stock axles with what size tires?
I think they're 41 and a half.
41 and a half. So let's call it 42. And you know, he was doing some quality assurance, let's call it, on that. And so what you're saying is, I mean, obviously you don't recommend it, I'm sure, but they work. I mean, temporarily anyway.
Yeah, well, I did take it out of the box. We trusted because I knew that was no problem, you know. And then I just want to see, like, because it has that stupid disconnect, kind of like the YJ. And I literally got it in one spot of trouble, and I just like tooted it. And it just sounded like shotgun shells hitting the ground like in a video game. Just shit everywhere, like just blew apart in fucking seconds. So I thought that was hilarious. But you know, I'll attest to the RCVs. I put them in, and I did leave the rear stock because I'm more of the opinion of sometimes once you break it, then upgrade it. You know what I mean? Unless you really know. Like I already knew. Like I wasn't confused. It was just a time constraint issue. With just getting ready for stuff that never happened because COVID, right? But anyway, so we didn't have time to order axles and do all those things. But yeah, I put the RCVs in and I pushed it reasonably hard. Not crazy, you know, because I don't like fixing stuff, to be honest, if I don't have to, you know what I mean? Killing all that time out. But they've held up just fine. Obviously, I omitted the disconnect and I went for, you know, solid axle right through. And so RCVs work so far, so good. But only the other thing, even with axle shafts, like just ball joints, like I pushed out the original ball joints because they're actually like lined with plastic. Like they're amazingly terrible. The worst ball joint I've ever seen in my life. Yeah. So I put in the only ball joint available for that axle. Was a Spicer upgrade. It was the only one, and they actually are like a real ball joint. But I tell you, man, they still move around, and I think it's worse on ball joints just driving on the street than it is going four-wheeling, to be honest, because you're just hitting potholes and just changing different load up, load down, shock loads. And And the problem with these stupid ball joints, I know we're kind of on a tangent, but there is nowhere to grease them, and they didn't come with like a different type of fitting, like a Zerk fitting. I got a different kind of grease gun with all kinds of different things, and I can't get it in there to grease it. So I got to take this stupid thing apart to grease the lower ball joints, just to see if I can put a little more life left in them. But literally, they got like maybe 1,000 kilometers on them. You know what I mean? Like 600 miles, and they still move more than I was hoping they would move. So it's not just axle shafts. It's not just bend and housings. It's just the little tiny ball joints and all these other consumable products. And then I can only imagine how nice my wheel bearings look inside. You know what I mean? Like my tires got to be 240 pounds a corner. Like it's insane. And it's kind of laughable. The only thing is people love those wheels on the internet like crazy, and they're gonna be real sad when I switch to 8 lug and I can't keep them.
Right.
Right. I'm gonna be sad. But,
Fair enough.
But I'll tiptoe through it for now and see how it goes.
All right, cool. Well, speaking of swapping things out when we move to like the V8, what about the drive shafts?
Yeah, totally, dude.
No. Yeah.
Changes everything.
Yeah,
so the stock shafts, like the Zerpa joint shafts, are terrible. So you want to go to a U-joint style shaft no matter what. Okay. And then we went up to 1350s, I believe. And what can you get now? 14.
Yeah, most common to be 1350 for sure. A lot of people even upgrade that. But yeah, just even if you have, say you've got upgraded Adams, Tom Woods, any of those brands, if you've got those shafts already upgraded in your JK or JL, when you do the V8 swap, they're going to change again. The lengths are totally different in terms of where the transfer case is going to sit, right?
The beauty is you can sell those ones.
Yeah, for sure. Exactly. You can sell those or potentially modify, shorten or lengthen them like a local drive shaft.
Yeah,
shops should be able to do that for you. It's pretty basic, but yeah, that transfer case and the two yokes in the transfer case, they're going to be in a different location ultimately when doing that swap.
Totally.
Okay.
Yeah, we put Tom Woods in both the JK and the JL. Always happy with those guys. I've been working with them since I started in like end of 04.
Yeah, they make the best product in my opinion. That's what I did after I did the V8 swap. Took the measurements like they spec on the website, called them, like done, bolted in.
Super easy. And they're fast too. Like it didn't take long to get them, you know, it's all good. They're good people.
They're crazy. They build stuff within 24 hours. Like you phone your drive shaft is custom built the next day and on its way. It's pretty impressive.
That's
you
crazy.
can't call to change those numbers. So measure twice, call
once. Right. All right, cool. What about like just DIYing it? So wait, hold on. We have a question here. What do we got? Or a comment. Thor says, maybe I already covered, but what about cooling the V8 after the swap? That's actually a great question. I heard that's why a lot of Jeep never originally offered it. It's the lack of surface area in the grill. Yeah, really great question. What about cooling the engine after the V8 swap? Ryan's being attacked by a bear. Sorry.
Yeah, you're going to be going aftermarket radiator and fans for sure. Again, I would lean on who you're buying a kit from, the shop doing it. Trust in someone else's expertise. I don't think you need to reinvent the wheel, but the Motec kit we got, he's sold an aluminum radiator and fans kind of as an option. It was highly recommended, so we just went with that. It's worked phenomenal. And I know what Jamie's saying with the grill space. I've heard the same thing, and that's why it took some time for a V8 to come in the JL or JT. But I think a lot of that has to do with the tow tests. I'm not ever going to tow with this Jeep or load a trailer up behind it. But I think when the OE has a certain spec they have to meet. So I think when they V8 swap and put it under serious load for an extended duration, that's when they have cooling problems. So I think that's why that's possibly taking some longer to come to. And I know the Jeep doesn't want to fuck a lot with the grill. Obviously that's completely iconic. So I don't think they want to add 6 inches to that grill to accommodate.
I thought they were going to sub out the grumper for just the
I'm out.
Get some more air in there.
How about those Broncos, man? I'm done.
Right. That's awesome. All right, cool. Yeah. Actually, the V8's got the hood scoop, right? Which apparently is.
Yeah, it's got
some air will leave some air, right? For sure.
And I think the Gladiator grill slots are even wider than
they are.
JL, and there's a different honeycomb in there. Yeah. Yeah, the
Yeah, you can
Gladiator's
tell a
wider.
Gladiator just by looking at the grill because it's wider. Yep, definitely.
Ah, look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
learned
I'm
something every day. I got one too.
I know.
You got one of each. Just take
He's
a
got
look.
one of each. Yeah,
All the grills. I got all the grills.
you got them all. Get
That
up, my
song, isn't
grill.
that rap song? I got all the grills.
I was gonna say I imagine it is somewhere.
If it isn't, make it for Christmas.
All right, cool. So what about DIYing? Can I just do this myself? Am I just
No,
gonna
you
like
can't,
throw
Paul.
it in
You
my?
asked me a
Well,
question.
I don't mean. We all know I'm not doing this myself. I'm gonna be coming to see you guys, but as a a general sort of purpose person who's handy, obviously can hold a wrench properly. Is this something you're doing in your driveway, or you're going to a shop?
You want a garage, man. I mean,
Yeah.
you're putting big stuff in there. You want to put a big motor and a big tranny and a big transfer case. Like once you get the placement and it fitted up right, that's okay. And the internet's so beautiful these days. And a lot of guys are willing to give information. Like I'm sure if you called the Motec guys and maybe you bought some stuff from them, like maybe you just bought motor mounts or maybe you bought XYZ, but then you'd be like, hey, dude, what size rad are you running? Oh, I have rad X. Did you like that too? Or like, hey, what CFM is that puller fan going to run? Like, what should I have? And then you probably find out a lot of information. So if you're handy, but you're going to have to be like, Tim always says, like cut, grind, weld kind of guy. You're going to have to be a mini wiring kind of guy. And then you're going to have to be a bit of a tune kind of guy, depending on what you do, right? So, I mean, that's kind of up to you. Like, if you're looking at realistically like a 2 to 5 year project and you got some skills and a nice warm place to do it, I think no big deal. You know what I mean? Like, you just walk through it and you could totally step it out. Like, I'd make it all on paper, pick out all the stuff you're going to get, make sure it all makes sense, read the internet, check all the boxes off. Okay, buy all the junk, and then start, and then check it through. Just make a list, check it off, go over the list, test it out. If you fuck something, figure out what it is and go back and sort it out, right?
That's actually a good idea. We should sort of sidebar here. We should do an entire show. We'll just do the rundown of Super Jeep, the LS swap, what you did, what you put into it, and so people they can download it if they want to download the checklist. I mean, if they want the exact same Jeep as yours, or at least to give them sort of that, like, hey, here's what Tim at TMR did, or we can do it with the JK that you have as well, Ryan. But just to give people, something they can take a look at, something tangible, and just say, hey, like, here's a place to start, and then you can start doing your research. I think that would be helpful. It would be if I was doing it anyway, because I wouldn't know where.
Copy it and do a real good job. You got to put our stickers on it.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Okay, cool. So I guess the last thing is then, or one of the last things is, what about ballpark price? So if I'm going to a shop to get it done, Tim, we'll start with you, but then Ryan, I'm interested in your opinion because you own a shop. So
yeah,
I think DIY you're going to be in the 15 to 20,000 US range. That's sourcing motor, transfer case, wiring harness, dry shafts. I mean, realistically, there's a lot of components, and it's lots of that stuff that's easy to overlook. That'll nickel and dime you. Like we talk to dry shafts, a lot of people overlook that. Well, that's going to be $1,000 bill minimum at the end, right? So yeah, I think accounting for everything to DIY, you're going to be 15 to 20K in the parts, and kind of obviously excluding your labor, not giving any thought. And I mean, I'm talking on a JK, JL, JT, something like newer modern vehicle and using modern motor transfer case. If we go TJ or older, then yeah, no, we can definitely cut some corners, or not cut corners, but it's just different. We don't need all the same electronic function. Things can be more basic. So at that point,
carbureted,
yeah, exactly.
or
Just complete standalone harness, not tied into factory gauges. You got more options. It's going to be more cost effective for sure. But yeah, if you want to do JK or newer, I'd bank on 15 to 20 is what I'd plan for.
Okay, right on. Ryan, what about are you thinking the same thing, or
No,
I'm interested in yours because I would be taking yours as like a shop. Like I want you guys to do it.
A pay to play would be 25 to 35, really, and then though that $10,000 difference will be basically in component selection and how far you want to go, right? So yeah, there's a lot of stuff there, like fittings, wiring, fuel system, cooling, exhaust, mounting, shifters, electronics, how integrated do you want it? You know what I mean? How new is the vehicle, right?
Yes.
Yeah, all that stuff, like, and it's just it's a time suck for a shop if you're not doing it all the time. and you don't like we turn stuff over a little quicker, like lift rims, tires, lift rims, tires, lift rims, tires. Like, you know, we'll push through, you know, quite a reasonable amount of work through the shop in the back at the like the retail environment. And then we kind of like that. It's good for the guys, you know, it's good for everybody, keeps things moving. And then we kind of know what we know. Not to say that we wouldn't have a problem doing it. It's just, yeah, you got to pay to play. Like we would probably lose money on the occupied time versus what we could reasonably or feel good about charging. So we kind of stay away from it. But that's why more of a kit's good too, right? Like even when I was doing it, there wasn't any kits. Like originally, like when we were like, yeah, we'll just take on any work and just do our best kind of thing. Like, but that took a lot longer. I'd imagine the kits would go a lot smoother and a lot quicker because it's just been fine tooth, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So I think we could do it. No problem. Like all my teams really skilled. Everyone's well trained. Everyone's licensed. Like everyone's been working under the belt for a bunch of years. So like I would, if I bought one to do in a kit and all that, like I wouldn't think twice about any of my team members doing it for me. Because I wouldn't personally, it sounds silly, but I just wouldn't have the time to get in there and do it. I just got other things we got to do that moves the whole boat forward for us. But
sure.
Yeah. It's pretty, I'd say 25 to 35 kind of makes sense. You know what I mean?
Okay. So don't just look at it and go, oh, hey, look, the price of the engine is X number of dollars, which is like nothing, right? Like the engine itself is not that expensive.
You can buy an LS running for like $800 or less.
Wow. Yes. Yeah. Right. Exactly.
It came out of some pickup truck, runs good, like maybe $600. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But that is so far away from completion.
Right. All right.
So that's every fucking Jimmy's story. He's got a fucking
yes, right.
Yeah, I got a fucking
runs good.
LS under my workbench. I'm like, fuck, awesome, man. Like you and everybody else. Junkyard's got 1,000 of them. If you cruise over there, like who cares?
Right.
Until it's in something and running and that thing's on the street and you're getting those miles per gallon, it doesn't really mean shit.
Yeah. Fair enough. All right. So Holly Terminator X kit with the touchscreen dash, ditch the JK dash and go standalone and rock a fully Chevy driveline.
Yeah, that's cool too. Yeah, a lot of good aftermarket support. Like Holly's good, Phytech has some good stuff, and geez, everybody's got like a fuel management system these days. It's kind of like plug and play, and that is, I think, heavily supported for the LS guys versus the Hemi guys.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah.
A lot of it will come down to turn signals, airbag, like functionality. If you want this thing 100% road legal, then you're probably looking at a swap kit that's going to integrate that. If this thing's just effectively a hot rod and you're going to rip it to the trails, rip it around town, you don't really care for that, then standalone swap might make sense for what you're doing.
Okay, right on. Cool.
Yeah. Don't spend them. Yeah, figure out what you need it for, right? If you don't need to spend all that money, you just want a VA, you're going to stick on a trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's skip some steps here. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like for tires. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Fair enough. All right, cool. All right, so then I guess last question, Ryan, we'll start with you. Which one gets your vote? If you were doing it today, and based on everything we talked about, are you going Hemi or are you going LS? And I think I already know what you said earlier. But
I'm going to Demon, man. If I had to pick the sky's the limit and whatever else, I sold some more T-shirts or something. I got the I'm doing like new Jeep. I'm doing 2-door. I'm doing 1 tons Atlas Demon. See you later. That's what I'm doing. I ain't paying lime fucking green.
There you go. I love it. Okay, what about you, Tim? Which one has your vote?
Well, I think he's thinking one step ahead with the lime green because that ensures his wife won't drive it. So he's smart. He's going to keep her out of the seat.
That's my security system.
That's right.
But no, I'm a big fan of the LS stuff just because I have it in multiple vehicles and multiple platforms. With that said, myself, just because like Ryan's saying, life's busy, work's busy or whatever, I wouldn't do the swap again. I didn't really enjoy the swap. That's not what I'm into. I like fabricating, designing and welding. So yeah, I would outsource the swap. I would take it to a shop 100%. I'd put the Jeep on a trailer, drive her down to Las Vegas, see you in a week, enjoy a week in Las Vegas and come home with that. So yeah. That's another thing. I mean, there's lots of qualified shops that can do this shit. So if you've got the financial means, I would just outsource it to a shop you trust. Cause for me anyways, that wasn't fun. I don't care for wiring, sorting shifter linkages, exhaust, all that stuff. I just find tedious. It's not what I have a passion for. So yeah, having done it, the Jeep's awesome. I mean, I guess I can be proud to say I did that. There's some level of that for people, but yeah, if I was to do it again, I wouldn't deal with the fucking motor. I'd put that on someone else's plate and stick to the axle swaps and the fabrication, because that I find more fun.
All right, amazing. All right, so just to sort of recap, one thing to keep in mind if you're planning on doing the swap is, regardless if you go LS or you go Hemi, you need to consider that you're probably going to need to swap the axles. You need new drive shafts, basically a whole shit ton of other components other than just the engine. And
stuff.
Yeah, whoever you're talking to about it, if you're planning it yourself or whatever, make sure you try to cover your butts, because
make sure they've done one if you're chatting with some bobo, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if he's driving a Ford Taurus and he's telling you all about LS swaps, probably change the channel, you know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah. No. That's a wicked point. And yeah, I think that speaks to a lot of shops. A shop should have something that inspires you. Like, you should look at their vehicles and go like, that's what I want. I'm targeting that. Right. So yeah, that's definitely something to look at. Ryan's right on that front.
That's a good point, actually. Yes, for sure. All right, cool. Did we miss anything then?
That's a lot of info. I feel
I think so as well.
Our duty.
All right, awesome. Well, then in that case, I want to say thank you everyone for watching the first Light Bars and Lockers show to air on the Facebook channel. We'll come at you every week. Definitely you can catch us on the exclusive and private Facebook group, which is facebook.com/groups/Light Bars and Lockers, or just, I think it's somewhere on the page. So just look up, just click, whatever. Even just look, search for it. You can find us. We're easy to find. There it is.
That's it.
That was way harder than I thought.
Right? If you're listening on YouTube, hit the like button and ring that bell so you're notified of any new and upcoming shows. If you're listening on our audio stations, please consider subscribing and leave a comment so we know what we can comment in the future. Ryan's got, what's that, bud?
Just subscribe. Don't consider.
Just subscribe.
I mean, it doesn't cost you anything to push the button. Push it.
push.
We'll talk about something that's entertaining at some point.
That's right. That's right. Awesome. All right. Well, everyone, I do appreciate it. I appreciate you, Tim. I appreciate you, Ryan. I learned a lot, as always. And we'll be back next week for another episode of Light Bars and Lockers. All right. We're out.
See ya.